I remember when this movie first came out in theaters. I was in high school and I begged my girlfriend to let's just go see this movie with her parents because I knew it was going to be 1,000 times better than the movie we ended up seeing. We ended up seeing the first Ouija movie. And I had to end up watching Interstellar like a year later at home on television, which was a extreme disservice to this movie. But thank you, AMC, Regal. I don't necessarily, who's it? Christopher Nolan. Who's responsible for these re-releases? Regardless, thank you, because you've given me the time back that I truly deserved. Because I truly deserved to watch that movie the first time in theaters back then. But here we are now in the IMAX re-release, and this is the only way to experience this movie as far as I'm concerned. I truly think watching this movie at home, unless you have an 80-inch television, there is no point in watching this at home because it's not even close to the experience that this movie is on an IMAX screen. These re-releases are getting really popular, and I'm truly glad they're becoming a thing because it is truly... I truly didn't even understand the actual impact and gravitas that this movie has being able to watch it on an IMAX screen. I've only seen this movie once before the actual, being able to watch the re-release. And like I said, I saw it on my mom's TV in her bedroom. And I love that TV. It didn't give this movie any justice whatsoever. At least I didn't know that until I watched it now in IMAX. Now that I've watched it in IMAX, wow. For Christopher Nolan to truly be able to pull things off on this grand of a scale is incredible. And yeah, Interstellar's been out for a very long time, but it's like, to truly actually be able to see that on IMAX, it's like the entire time, at least 90% of this movie, I am literally sitting up there asking myself, how is any of this possible? How is he able to do any of this shit? It is truly one of, I would say, Christopher Nolan's greatest achievements. I don't think this is Nolan's best movie, but I do think this is his Mona Lisa. And we are now going to talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Interstellar. Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and look, this is my review for Interstellar, or at least the re-release review of Interstellar, starring Matthew McConaughey, Jessica Chastain, Anne Hathaway, Matt Damon, Timothy Chalamet, Michael Caine, John Lithgow, Casey Affleck, Wes Bentley, Mackenzie Foy. This cast is ridiculously stacked. And it was directed by Christopher Nolan himself. And our story, as plainly as I can put it, follows a man by the name of Cooper, who basically is always wanting to live in the stars. He is basically, the state of the world now is where they don't necessarily need space exploration. So he was an engineer, and because of this current state of the world that they need more farming and things like that, he's not able to do what he actually wants to do, which is explore space. And he finally gets the opportunity to do so when he stumbles upon a NASA mission where in secret they are trying to find other worlds to be able to put Earth on, because they don't think they'll be able to stay there much longer because all the food and crops are slowly dying off. Best way I can put it, and that's the only way I need to put it. And like I said, guys, being able to watch this again in IMAX was an experience not only I never really realized I needed, but it's truly life-changing. I'm being 1,000% serious here. I thought Inception on the big screen was something to completely be in awe of, and it definitely still is, and I would love it if they do an Inception re-release in IMAX, because I would really like to see that again. However, it's just like I said, I've only seen Interstellar once, and it was on a decent-sized television, but being able to watch it again on this screen here in the way that it was supposed to be watched, it truly, truly, truly brought me to a state of complete awe and astonishment the entirety of the movie, except some parts, but we'll talk about that. Look, as far as I'm concerned, guys, this movie is ridiculous. This movie is ridiculous in almost every single aspect of filmmaking. The acting is phenomenal. Matthew McConaughey is tremendous. And I'm saying, it's so weird to be sitting up here reviewing a movie that's already been released, and I'm pretty sure many people have seen it before, but it's like watching it in IMAX. I truly felt like I was watching it for the first time in a way I've never had before, because of course I never saw it in a movie theater, but this was just different. Like watching his performance, watching Matthew McConaughey be so completely locked in on what he is doing, what he is trying to accomplish in this movie was amazing. I even forgot how amazing of a performance Anne Hathaway gives in this movie. Like, the main things I remember from my first watch of Interstellar was the dynamic between, of course, Cooper and his daughter, and Matthew McConaughey, Jessica Chastain. That scene of him crying, watching the tape of her talking and stuff like that, and I just remember all the emotional parts, and of course I remember how long the movie was, because it's ridiculously long, and it still feels like that today. But just being able to go back and watch all of these performances and truly put to the things that played out, or the things that play out in the movie, being able to rewatch it and pick up on things that you never caught on to the first time is a special experience. And beyond that, honestly, I was able to understand the mission a lot better, because when I first saw this movie, I was I was like, I understood why they needed to go to space, but I was also just very confused on like the backdooring and why everybody was so angry at each other, and mainly why Matt Damon was being such a dickhead to people. I didn't really understand it when I first watched it, but now being able to go back, I do understand it, and it is still fuck you, Matt Damon. Fuck you, Matt Damon. But regardless of that, Matthew McConaughey gives a tremendous performance. Jessica Chastain is ridiculously good in the movie. The dynamic between Cooper and his daughter is the entire heartbeat of this movie. And while I am on the subject of this, I will say this. The only thing that is keeping this movie from being a perfect film is two things: the runtime and the way that they treat Cooper's son, Timothy Chalamet / Casey Affleck. And I will say this. If you literally cut out everything involving the son, and I'm talking about Timothy Chalamet and Casey Affleck's part, if you cut all of that out, in my opinion, this is a perfect movie. In my opinion, this is truly a perfect movie. Now, I understand. Now, it has nothing to do with the performances. Timothy Chalamet and Casey Affleck do good with what they're given, but at the same time, they're not given much to do, and they're also treated like shit. Like, the entire, not just by Matthew McConaughey, the movie literally treats this character like shit. And they just, I could understand if it came to a point in the movie where like Casey Affleck actually came to some aggressive monologue where he's like explaining his feelings towards his dad as a kid, but they only really give him like one line to do that, and it's kind of just like, whatever, dude. Like, it's kind of just pointless. Like, when you meet Casey Affleck, or when you meet Timothy Chalamet / Casey Affleck in the future, when you meet like the older version of his son, he has already lost a daughter or a son. He's already lost a kid, and he's on the verge of losing another kid, yet he doesn't want them to seek medical help. Why? That I still didn't catch on to. So if you know the reason, please say it in the comments below. But that truly just played off to me as completely pointless, having his son being in this movie. Because honestly, like, I get it. Like, having a dickhead dad is, a kind of a dynamic, I guess, that was popular in that day. I mean, it's still popular, kind of, sort of. But I truly don't understand the purpose of it, because there are points in this movie when, like, Matthew McConaughey would be leaving the house, and he literally only says his daughter's name. He's like, what's his daughter's name? Murphy? He says, Murph, I'm leaving. Doesn't even mention his son at all. Like, he doesn't even exist. Like, unless his son is legit in the same room as him, he does not care. And the reason I'm not necessarily such a fan of that storyline or that plot point is because they don't ever necessarily explain why. They don't ever really take time to flesh out the relationship between those two, because it's all about Murph and Matthew McConaughey, or Murph and Cooper. That's why I'm just like, y'all really could have just took that out. Now, granted, it's 10 years later, so it's already kind of too late to do so. But I mean, look, that was my issue when I first watched the movie: the runtime and basically the way they treated Timothy Chalamet, and now I understand Timothy Chalamet and Casey Affleck, and now years later, I understand. If you just cut those two things, if you just cut the whole son part of the movie out, you got a perfect movie. You got a perfect movie as far as I'm concerned. Now, the runtime is definitely long, and you definitely feel it. Yeah, it was definitely a workout on my eyelids to stay up during this movie, but I stayed up during the entire thing, and I can definitely say it was worth it. Every single space scene, again, literally sitting up there trying to figure out how. Trying to figure out how any of this is possible, trying to figure out how Christopher Nolan was able to pull this off. That entire space reverse bookshelf scene where he's watching Murph and the younger version of himself through the bookshelf is crazy. When he finds out that he was Murph's ghost the entire time, like, the foreshadowing in this movie is crazy. And honestly, like I said, being able to pick up on those plot points, or being able to pick up on those things during my rewatch, was very special, and it was very awesome, and it made the emotional points of the movie hit harder for me. Like I said, the video of Cooper watching his daughter when she's a lot older, and he's realized like how much of time he's missed being on that planet, is still ridiculously heart-wrenching. It is truly just some of the best acting I've seen in my life from not just from Matthew McConaughey. It's truly just some of the best acting I've seen in my life. And honestly, it's so crazy to say that most of the best acting I've seen in my life, 3 of those performances have come from Matthew McConaughey, as far as Interstellar, True Detective Season 1, and what was it, Dallas Buyers Club? Yeah, because he did a really good job in that. But beyond that, just being in awe of Christopher Nolan, man. Like, this is art. This is cinema. This is how movies are supposed to make you feel. Interstellar, like, for Christopher Nolan to truly understand what makes movies magical and what makes them majestic and what makes them so mind-boggling and world-bending, I truly can never wrap my head around. And now that I've seen Interstellar in IMAX, I truly am even in more shock. Like I said, for me personally, this is not his best movie. I think Oppenheimer, The Dark Knight, and Dunkirk still reign supreme over Interstellar, even after my rewatch. And yes, I'm a big fan of Dunkirk. I think Dunkirk is one of his most underrated movies. Nobody talks about that, but it is truly an amazing film. But sitting here being able to watch Interstellar again, I think this is from an artist perspective, from truly just CG. I don't know how he did most of this, but CGI, technical standpoint, special effects, from those type of filmmaking aspects, I think this is his Mona Lisa. I think this is his best work done from a technical standpoint. I think Oppenheimer was his, essentially, like, his moment where all of his filmmaking aspect just came into one, and he was able to make damn near the perfect movie. But Interstellar started something truly impeccable. Interstellar was the start of something that truly nobody really saw coming. I mean, we all knew Christopher Nolan was an amazing filmmaker, but I do remember when Interstellar first came out, it wasn't getting the praise it does now. Like, I think people definitely liked it, but they didn't love it. But then, like, the more as years went by, there was more of an appreciation for the movie. People started to watch it a lot more, and it started to get like a bigger appreciation. And now here we are with the re-release 10 years later, and it's so much better than I remember. It's so much better than I remember. The space scenes, like I said, are absolutely ridiculous, awe-inspiring. Like, I'm just sitting there literally like in complete astonishment, like just being able to literally be taken to another world, another galaxy, going through the black hole. It's like, how do you come up with any of that stuff? Like, how are you able to pull any of that off? It's truly watching a Picasso at work. And it's an honor to watch Christopher Nolan's movies in IMAX, because they are truly the only way that you can experience a Christopher Nolan movie. It is really, 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 really one of the most special experiences I've gotten in 2024. I'm not going to lie to you, because I truly did. It's like before going into this movie, I knew Interstellar was good. Like, I remember really liking it. I really thought it was a good movie, but I just never had seen it again after that first time. But now being able to watch it, coming off the re-release, it's not only so much better than I expected. It truly could be one of the best movies of the year for me, honestly. But it came out in 2014, so it can't count. But if this was the first time I was ever seeing Interstellar this year, it would have made my top 10. It truly would have. I can't, like, words cannot express enough how amazing this movie is. And I really mean from all aspects, minus Timothée Chalamet and Casey Affleck's storyline. Minus the son storyline. Literally take that out and it's a perfect movie. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. But it's like, honestly, I just don't know how you do things like this. This is why, but movies like this are pivotal examples of why I love movies, but why movies bring us together in general, and why they are such a universal language, because they bring us to worlds unknown. This is legit worlds unknown. This is legit places that we can't even come up with. Like, things that we didn't think were possible become possible in a movie like this. Things that we can only dream of. Things that we can't even like fathom becoming real all happen in this movie. And it's ridiculously beautiful. It is an immensely gripping, gorgeous movie. The cinematography is amazing. The sound effects are out of this world. I mean, everything. The docking sequence, my God. The docking sequence, being able to watch that again in IMAX, it's ridiculous. It's so much heavy emotional weight watching this entire thing play out. And it was really, really, truly something I could call one of the most beautiful experiences I've had in a movie theater all year. Interstellar. Thank you for re-releasing it. Like I said, I don't necessarily know if I should thank Christopher Nolan. I mean, I'm going to thank Christopher Nolan regardless. Thank you for making a movie like this. But whoever re-released it, whoever's in charge of the re-releases, you guys are doing a bang-up job, and thank you. And look, those are my thoughts. And for all those reasons and so many more, guys, I've already told you what my rating was. But again, just to reiterate, for all those reasons and so many more, guys, I'm going to give Interstellar a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Okay, guys, so Interstellar, have you seen it? I mean, at this point, it's been 10 years, so how many of you have not seen it? But have you seen it, and if you did see the re-release, what did you think about it? And if you have not seen it yet, I think it is still available in theaters, so try to catch that before it gets out. But regardless, let me know in the comments below, guys, what you think of Interstellar. What are your rankings of Christopher Nolan movies? Where does Interstellar rank among your list? Guys, thank you so very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff and so much more. Look, this is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.